again, guys.
Hey.
Well, today we want to do a video that I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in. We are going to talk about how we did money-wise for 2017.
So for those of you who are just coming to watch this video to see how much it was, let's give you those numbers real quick so you don't have to sit through us boring, blabbing buffoons.
Here's the numbers, and then we're going to talk a little bit more in detail. But our gross income for 2017 is $215,441.
All right, so there you go. That's how much we made. You don't have to watch anymore if you don't want to. Now, for those who are interested in the business part of it, our expenses, what we ended up netting, how much we spent in fuel, go ahead and stick around.
Yeah, we're going to go into detail. Let me just talk a little bit briefly about 2017. If you haven't been watching us, and maybe this is the first video you've seen, our whole expediting career for the first 4 years, we drove for an owner. We did not own our own truck. The first month of 2017 in January, we were still driving for an owner. February 3rd of 2017, we picked up our own truck. We purchased our own truck, the truck we're in now.
Became owner-operators. Now, at that time, we were still leased on to Panther. We drove for the owner with Panther, and when we purchased our own truck, we decided to stay with Panther because it was what we knew. We had plans not to stay there, but at first we stayed there because it's what we knew, we were comfortable with it. Towards the middle of the year, June, July, we decided we wanted to make a change to a different carrier. So mid-year we changed and we went to Landstar. So half of the year we were with Panther, now we're with Landstar. That kind of probably will have an impact on some of these numbers. It did. It had an impact on how much we made for the year.
So keep that in mind with these numbers. This year I'm really excited because 2018 will be owner-operators the full year and hopefully be with Landstar the full year. So we'll get a really good picture of our earnings at the end of this year. Let's talk a little bit about the numbers. Now, when folks ask us what we make per mile, we don't ever really talk about our rate per mile simply because every load is different. We do not make the same on every load. Sure, we could do an average rate per mile, but to us, it's more important the whole picture of what we're making in a year. And that's why we want to share this with you, not to brag or not for people to judge us of what we are making or how little we're making. We want to share and give people real expectations who are thinking about coming out and getting into expediting.
Right.
As we said, our gross for the year for 2017 was $215,441,000. Now that's gross. That's before any expenses. Our expenses for the year came to $123,629. So that left us with a net profit of $91,813.
Now that $91,000 is a number before per diem. You know, we did not pay taxes on $91,000. We still had our per diem write-off. So we had $28,829 in per diem last year.
That we can write off.
That we can write off. Now, we only get 80% of that,
no,
right?
That's the 80%.
That was the 80%. So off of that $91,000, we subtract that $28,000 from that, and that is what we paid taxes on.
Right.
Now, one thing a lot of people don't understand about per diem is we're allotted a certain amount per day. It's $63 a day, 80% of that.
Per driver.
Per driver. We did not spend $28,000 in food last year. That was just the amount of days we stayed out, what we were allowed to write off per the government. That's what we're allowed to write off. I think we may have only spent $8,000 in groceries living out here on the road for the amount of days we were out.
And talking about the amount of days we were actually out a total of 286 days on the road. So that left about 2.5 months that we took off during the year.
9.5 months out on the road.
In that time we were out on the road too, I did want to tell you how many miles that we did for the year.
Yeah.
We did a total of 131,501 miles for the whole year.
Which is not a lot, you know, and I mean some teams are out here running 175, 200,000.
Yeah.
But this is what we're happy with.
Yeah.
You can get out here and run more miles. This is just what we did. We were happy with it. You can come out here and make a little more. You can come out here and make a little less. So.
And I would say in the years previously, we averaged about 150 miles a year. This last year, again, was kind of weird because we were in between carriers. We took some time off. And so, yeah, that kind of skewed those numbers. Let's talk about what some of those expenses are in that $123,000. Our biggest expense is fuel and truck payment.
Yeah.
Fuel for the year total cost us $32,262. That's what we spent in fuel. That's fuel, DEF, fuel additives, all of that.
Yeah, that's a big number.
That's our biggest expense. The next one after that is going to be truck payment. We spent $31,500 in truck payments. Now, some of the other expenses that you can expect when you own your own truck and you're out here on the road is insurance. We spent $8,037 in insurance. Now, when I say insurance, that's occupational insurance, that's limited liability, non-trucking insurance. It's also our commercial vehicle insurance. If you had health insurance, that would be into that category as well. Next expense, and I'm just kind of going down the line, these are in no particular order, but taxes and licensing. That's going to be your fuel taxes. For us, we do our own plates, permits, anything that has to do with taxes, that's going to go into that category. Our CDLs, we had I think Jason renewed his CDL last year. I renewed mine at the end of the year. In taxes and license last year, we spent $1,836. Now, another big expense for us this last year was the category of rent and lease. For that first month, we were still leasing the truck from our owner.
Yeah,
so
his 40%.
For his 40% for January was $10,105. You know, we deduct that from our earnings because he was getting that 40%.
Yeah, that came off the top gross.
Right. So. Those are the majority of our fixed costs, which means that those don't really change much. They're pretty much consistent every month. They may fluctuate a little bit. There's not a whole lot that we can do to raise or lower those.
Right.
Maybe you can tweak them a little bit depending, shopping your insurance every year, things like that.
Driving slower.
Yeah, fuel for sure. But fuel is a variable cost. I mean, that's not really a fixed cost. So some of the variable costs that we encountered over 2017 was accounting. Accounting is going to be anything like if you're, paying an escrow, you're paying for an accounting service. We spent $2,819 in that category. Next is communication, which is going to be like your cell phone, Qualcomm service, satellite radio, internet fees. We spent $8,045 in communications last year. Then you've got fees. Fees are going to be anything like if you transflow your paperwork, you get charged a fee. An advance fee, meaning like if you take a cash advance.
If you go to the ATM to get some cash and you're charged the ATM fee, that's tax deductible.
Com check fees, com data fees, direct deposit fees. Like for instance, our money goes on a com data card, then we direct deposit it into our bank. We get charged $1.75 every time we do that. Yeah. For the year, we spent $415 in fees. The next category is maintenance. Maintenance is going to be any kind of parts, maintenance for the truck washes, repairs, oil changes,
accessories.
You also if you have a dog and you're writing that off, your guard dog expenses goes into that category as well. We spent $7,709 in that category. Next category is going to be office expenses, which is going to be any kind of office supplies. If you have a PO box, you can write that off. Any online subscriptions that apply to your business, ink, paper, anything like that. We spent $4,570 in office. The next category is going to be physicals, which is going to be your DOT physical, if you have to pay for a drug screen, anything like that. We spent $135 in that category last year. And that was just because I think, who renewed? Did you renew yours last year? I think.
I did, or you?
Or
you
I did. Yeah,
I
one
think.
of us had to. We're kind of
Yeah.
off years. So it
Yeah.
goes 2 years, but we're kind of like off years. So
They were
his
scattered.
is 1 year, mine is the next. So, and then of course, when we went into get hired for Landstar, we had to, of course, go take a drug test. So we had to pay for that. Next category is supplies. We spent $8,494 in supplies. That's going to be cleaning supplies, tools,
Paper towels,
hardware, anything like that goes into supplies. Next is going to be tolls and parking. That's pretty self-explanatory. Any tolls that you pay, parking fees. We spent $1,161 in tolls and parking. Next category is going to be travel. Now, what goes in your travel category is going to be laundry, hotels, showers, if you get an Uber or a cab, rental car. If you have a business dinner or business lunch that you can write off, that would go in that as well. We spent $2,893 in that category in 2017. Next category is going to be uniforms, which is going to be like work boots, or if you have to purchase uniforms for the job like FedEx Custom Critical, they have to wear a uniform, so they have to purchase that. You can write that off. You can also write off any kind of winter wear, like winter boots, winter gloves, things like that. That would go into that category. We spent $1,037 in that category last year. That's kind of the breakdown of those expenses. Now, some of those
we can work on
we
ourselves.
can work on, yes.
We bought this truck mattress. Did we need a truck mattress? No, we didn't need it. Technically, I think we needed it because we'll do another video review on it. It's been like a couple months since we've had the mattress,
Yeah.
but you know, there's things that we do buy that we don't really need. You know, I bought a steering wheel cover. I bought
there's wants and needs.
Right.
You
Right.
kind of got to weigh that out.
Now, it's nice to be able to write off your wants, you know, if you want
absolutely.
something, luxury for the truck to make life better out here on the road. It's nice to be able to write those off. Here's the thing a lot of people don't understand about write-offs is just because I spend $1,000 doesn't mean I'm saving $1,000. That I'm when I write that $1,000 off, it's not that I'm saving $1,000. I'm only saving what I would have paid tax on that $1,000.
Right.
So let's say I buy a new air ride for the front suspension of the truck, and it costs $1,000. Now that's $1,000 that we are not going to pay taxes on, because it was money spent for our business. Taxes on that $1,000 might have been only $80. Whatever your tax bracket is, or wherever you buy it at, whatever your state tax is. So you don't save the $1,000. You save the taxes you would have spent on that $1,000. Just because you can write it off don't mean you need to go get it.
Yeah, don't get in the mind thing, oh, I can write it off.
Or if your tax guy says, well, you need to spend such and such money, or else you're going to have to pay this much in taxes. Pay the taxes, because you're still going to have that money, you know, unless you want to deck out your truck. If that's what you want, go do it, you know, and yes, you can write it off, but you're not saving that money. If it costs $5,000 to deck out our truck in chrome, and I deduct that, but I'm only saving $500 that I would have paid in taxes, I would have rather had the $4,500, because that's $5,000. I'll rather pay the $500 in taxes and keep the $4,500 in my bank. So yeah, I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I think some people get into that mindset of, oh, I can write it off, but yeah, not really understanding, because I know I was the same way at first. I was like, oh, well, we can write it off, and then after figuring it out in that way, I was like, oh yeah, but you know, that's just our spending, and yeah, there's things we can work on. In any business, you want your profits high and your expenses low.
Right.
That's really what you want, and there's always room for improvement. But again, we just wanted to share this to give people the reality of, and here's the thing, I say reality, this is our numbers. That doesn't mean that this person could be making more than us. This person could be making less.
Everybody's going to have different expenses.
Right, and everybody has their own wants and needs of how much money they need to make and perceive as a good amount or a good living.
Right.
For us, we're happy we're content with what we make versus
Yep.
what bills we have. So yeah, we're really happy.
One question you may be asking, how much taxes are we going to pay on that profit that we made? We'll tell you in previous years, we haven't got with our tax guy yet this year for those numbers, but our previous years before, the numbers were a little higher, but different, you know, because we didn't have truck write-off and
this year we'll be able to write off the depreciation of the truck, which I think is really going to help
with taxes.
Yeah.
But roughly expect to pay anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 in taxes.
Yeah.
That's what we've paid in previous years when we drove for an owner. So just expect to put at least that much away.
Yeah.
Give or take, you know, because then when it comes time for taxes, if you need to come up with a little bit more, you don't need to come up with all of it. You'll have $7,000 in the bank, and let's say your taxes are $8,000. You can work a month and kind of save up $1,000 if you need to pay that.
Yeah. Now that's if you don't do estimated tax payments. Now you can set up where you're paying quarterly. They take an estimate of what you're going to be due taxes at the end of the next year, and you pay quarterly a certain amount in. And you know, that's probably a good way. We just haven't been doing ours that way.
We don't do it. The penalty
we do pay a little penalty, but
the penalty for not doing it is like $60.
Yeah.
I would rather just pay the $60.
Yeah.
And pay the full balance at the end of the year of what we owe.
Yeah. But if you're not good with saving money, you may want to do it that way.
Yeah.
We just want to share to give people kind of a real perspective of what you can kind of expect out here.
Yeah.
So we do hope that is helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below. We'll be happy to get to those. If anybody has any comments or anything they'd like to add, please leave those in the comments as well. Thank you guys as always for watching and subscribing.
And until our next video,
Peace, love, and expediting.